So, we doing this?
We doing this. I'm so excited.
All right. You know what the thing is with starting shit is that there's not really any real good way to start shit.
Correct.
So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ayoo Chill podcast. Today we have a very special guest for you, sitting right in front of me, the legendary, Bri Cielo. Bri, can you please introduce yourself to everybody watching right now?
Hello, everybody. My name is Bri Cielo, or Brianna Cielo. Everyone calls me Bri Cielo, though. It followed me to college. It was my nickname throughout high school. Still there. I like it. I am Luisa's friend from high school.
Yeah.
Oh, we've known each other for so long.
We
now.
have.
It's crazy.
So, listen. So, the reason we brought you onto the podcast today is that you are a theater major.
Oh, yes, I am.
So,
Recently graduated.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I got my degree too this summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm so impressed.
Yeah. So, how was going into theater? What made you go into theater?
Oh, goodness. So, I have to say that I wasn't really one of those kids that had like a defining moment or anything. It was sort of a gradual thing for me. I did dance, like dance recitals and things like that ever since I was 2. So I was performing in that way for 13 years. I did that. And then it wasn't until the summer of my 8th grade year going into my freshman year of high school that I auditioned for Les Mis at PV, Passaic Valley Summer Theater. Shout out PVST. And that was when that was like my first full length show that I did, because I had only done like little community theater like review things up until then. Once I did that full length show, that was when I decided I wanted to major in it. I knew I always loved it, but I always thought, I could do it as a hobby or whatever. I wanted to be a pediatrician for the longest time. And then I made like a hard left and I was like, no, I really want to do theater, because that was a great experience. I haven't had an experience at PV like Les Mis, my 8th grade going into freshman year.
And so do you have like anybody who's like musical in the family or?
So not musical. I mean, unless you go like really far back, like my great grandparents on my dad's side were like very musical, like played the piano, the violin, sang, both of them. But more immediate, my dad did a lot of background acting for movies when he was younger.
Do you know do you know like which movies or like?
So a lot of them are like old. Like if I name drop some of them, nobody would know, unless if someone knows.
Bro, name drop them, yo. If there's any place to name drop, yo.
So one of them that I know was called Witness to the Mob, which was about the life of Sammy Bull, who was like a gangster mobster person in New York or New Jersey. I don't know. One of those two. So I remember recently we were actually looking up clips of it on YouTube to try and see if we could spot my dad. And you can. I mean, I wasn't able to do it right away because he doesn't have gray hair.
Okay.
Damn. I was like, that's dad. But the more recent one and the last one that he did this when I was like first born. I Am Legend with Will Smith, the zombie movie.
He did. He did background acting for that?
Yeah.
Where?
It was in New York. Like I remember he said like he had that movie made him stop doing it because obviously he had a kid, and they would like randomly email him and be like, hey, come to the Brooklyn Bridge from like 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. to shoot this like scene where all of you guys are running across the bridge like it's falling or whatever, and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, I really can't be doing this anymore. This is going to be my last one, kind of thing.
Damn. Yeah, I've seen that movie a million times with my parents.
No
like,
way.
For real. Like, growing up, my family was very much like a TBS, like FX, like whatever's free on like TV type family. So like we'd watch whatever like replays of like anything.
Right.
And like once, but I remember actually when we did go to the theater, like rarely when we did, Actually, I don't even think we went to the theater for that. I actually think we rented it from the library.
No way.
Yeah, because we were big on that too. Public libraries, by the way, you could rent out movies. They got like movies that are sometimes like new. Like people, I didn't even know this, but it's what you know when you're broke and stuff. But we'd go,
Broke-hacks.
yeah, and like, bro, I've watched that movie so many. I've watched that movie in Spanish actually too.
No way.
The, like alternative endings and everything. Like I've looked that up on YouTube. Like I think pretty recently too, probably like within the last year. Because sometimes like
That is so
that's
funny.
crazy.
I'm gonna tell my dad you're a fan.
Bro, I'm a big fan now. Now I need an autograph, yo. I'm deadass gonna buy the DVD. I'm gonna buy the DVD
You
on Amazon
really
today,
should.
yo. I'm gonna get an autograph because there's no way.
Oh, yeah.
I know I had someone that close to home.
That
like, you
close
know,
to
like-
home, literally.
So besides that, you don't have anybody else in your family who did any other acting or any other music or anything like that?
No, I mean, my sister does it as well. But I think that was kind of like a me passed down kind of thing.
Word.
But no, nobody else in my family, which is crazy. I actually, that was like something that I was a little intimidated by when like going into college, because so many people are like, yeah, it's generational. Like my grandparents were on the stage and my mother was on the stage. Now I'm going to be on the stage. And I was like, my mom is a florist.
Yo, and shout out to your mom, yo. Shout out
Yes,
to
not
your mom
knocking
and the
my
flowers,
mom.
yo.
She's great.
Nah, bro.
Her
Nah.
profession's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, cause I'm in a similar boat when it comes to that. Like, nobody in my family were musicians. I mean, I started off playing the euphonium, and
Right.
that's weird and a weird instrument to pick up on. And I think my dad was like, "Oh, I was a musician," and my mom said, "Oh, I'm a musician too." But they were talking about my dad was in a marching band in Peru for
Oh,
like
wow.
I think 2 months or something. He didn't really. I think he like walked around with the tambourine or whatever, and he didn't really know what he was doing. And my mom said she played the flute, but my dad said it was a recorder. And so
Your dad shut that down.
bro,
right
like
away.
my dad shut that down quick. So I was just like, damn. And I was like, was she good though? Like, I don't even know.
Right,
like,
right.
but besides that, there's nobody else in my family either.
Yeah.
You know? So but I think it's cool because that means like you're a pioneer in,
Exactly,
in
you
like what you
started.
do, you know?
Yeah.
That's dope. So so what was your first show? You said your first show was Les Mis?
Yeah, so that was my first like full. Oh, you know what? I might be lying to you. I'm lying to you, actually. Wow, this
all good.
like unearthed a core memory. My first show like that had a plot, because like I said, I used to do a lot of review shows and stuff at this place called Smiling Rhino Theater, which is in Pompton Lakes.
Oh, yeah, the Rhino Theater.
Yeah, I used to do like, they would do things called like Broadway Stars or something, and they would be a bunch of kids my age, and we would do like different musical songs, whatever. There was no plot; it was just like a cabaret kind of thing, like review. But I actually did a production of Wizard of Oz when I was, oh my goodness, I was so young. It was a part of a summer camp. Like I went to the Woodland Park summer camp where I live, and they had the camp one year at Memorial Middle School in Woodland Park, because the place where the camp was usually held was being remodeled, or they were like fixing the park or something like that. So we had to have it at the school, and they invited someone in who was going to put on like a show or whatever, and that would be like a special activity that you could do if you wanted to. And they were going to do Wizard of Oz. And I was all for it. I was like really excited. Like, again, I knew what performing like dance wise was like. So I was like, any chance to get up on stage and be in front of people, I wanted to do it. But I didn't want Dorothy. I did not want that part at all. I remember my mom being like, you should go for that one. Like, what? And I was like, no, I want the lion.
Oh, I mean, that's the lion's a great part
The
too.
lion, to me, I was like, that's my part. That's the one I want. All this kind of stuff. I was dead set on it. Even the lady who was running the program was like, Brandon, you don't want to try, like, at least read the lines for? I was like, no, I don't even want to give you that chance to like see me as Dorothy. I want to be the lion. And I remember it was me and this one other boy who like went out for it, and I got it over the guy. And I was like,
Damn.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. But it was like, oh my God, it was the most ghetto thing ever. My main was, you know, like the brown, like rug toilet seat covers.
Oh, nah.
It was that with like my face cut hold into it. Brown and gold, like streamers curled on it. And then my tail was like a brown stocking with like toilet paper.
How was the set like?
The set was actually not that bad because I think either the woman who was running it, her husband or somebody was good at painting. So it was just 2 flats that were painted to be like the general like look of Oz. And I'm pretty sure it was like a very truncated version of the actual show. Like we did the full length show.
Yeah.
But
We'll get to
this
that.
was we'll get to that. Ooh, spoilers. But this was definitely a shorter version of it. But now that I'm thinking about it, that was like my first like doing a show kind of thing. But even then I didn't really think like that was what I wanted to major in. But Les Mis was that one for
was
me.
kind of like that turning moment.
Correct.
And do you know like what in particular like made you like, what was that moment where you're just like, oh wow, like this, was it just the whole experience, like the experience as a whole, or was it like a specific moment?
I think it might have been the experience as a whole because it taught me, like, I originally went into it and I really wanted Eponine. And I was the youngest one, besides my friend Janice, who auditioned with me, in the show. And besides, my sister and the little kids who played the younger baby parts or whatever. But I was one of the youngest ones at callbacks. And I was called back for Eponine. And
this is the PVSTs?
PV Summer Theater,
yeah. Okay.
And I remember going up and auditioning and doing the callback and everything and being like, I really want this. Like, I really, really want this. And then finding out that they wanted me for ensemble and not for that part. And I was devastated. And my mom, I know. And my mom was like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, like all this kind of stuff. And I was like, no, I think I'm still going to do it. I just don't know if I'm going to have as good of a time because I'm just in the background. And as I said before, it wound up being one of my favorite experiences. And I think in that moment, it was like I realized it doesn't matter what the part or how big or how small. I just loved being up there and performing. And I remember I had like a line or whatever that was 2 seconds long, and I was like, this is the greatest thing in the entire world because I get to say something, and I've obviously went on from there to have, great parts and things with more lines, but that will still top it for me because I think I really appreciated just getting to be there and just getting to do it. And that's when I knew I was like, no matter what it takes.
And that's dope. You never got any like stage fright or anything, or like?
No. And that blows my parents' mind till this day because it was kind of like a 180. I went from like not really performing anything to I remember my parents didn't know that I liked to sing or anything like that. They knew that I did dance, but that was kind of just something that I did. My friends were there, like, I would complain about going to practice all the time.
And what dance? Like, sorry, but
no, you're good. So when I was 2, I started off in like a combination class. So it was ballet and tap. And then I really didn't like ballet. I really didn't like tap. So I moved on to jazz, which was actually a little more musical theatery. And that's why I think I liked that. And so I did jazz for a couple of years. And then I finished maybe the last like 5 years out with hip hop. I was a hip hop dancer.
Okay.
And that was my favorite one by far because that was just fun. It made it fun to do. I don't think I liked like the disciplinary thing or whatever that comes with dance, even though now I'm like in like the thick of that with musical theater. But I was also doing a lot of other stuff at the time. I was in band in middle school and things like that. And I remember there were days where I would have band practice after school and then have to go to dance practice. And I'd be like, oh my God, I just want to go home. Like, I don't want to do this. So it kind of like put this like taint over it for me. But
you were talking about the 180 from like not being nervous on stage.
Right. So I had never really shown that I was nervous about anything, but I had never told my parents that I liked to sing. And so when I would have like concerts and stuff, because I was a part of the choir and the band in middle school, when I would have concerts and stuff like that, my parents would try to come, but I would always be like, it's not really that big of a deal. And I remember I had one concert where I I was particularly obsessed with the musical Wicked at this point in my life. It was sixth grade, and Wicked was like the be all end all of my life. And I went up to the new music teacher who had just come on board as choral director, and I was like, I don't care what happens at this spring musical. I just want to sing Popular from Wicked. Like I just want that solo. And he gave it to me. And I didn't really tell my parents because, again, didn't think it was that big of a deal. I was just like, oh, I'm finally going to get to sing one of these songs that I really like. And it turned out with my parents' schedule, they couldn't come to that concert. So I sang and did all this stuff or whatever. And I had teachers and parents coming up to me afterwards being like, oh, you were so great. Where are your parents? And I kind of looked like that kid that was like, my parents don't show up to things. Or like the principal waited with me like on the curb for my mom to come and pick me up to like kind of give my mom the eye. Like, you should have been here for your daughter.
Like, what are y'all doing?
Exactly.
Like, y'all showing up here drunk? What's up?
Exactly. I know. Oh my God. My mom hates it when I tell that story because she's like, you should have just told us. But after that, I guess a woman who was in the audience or whatever, she worked for the town, and she called my mom or something and was like, hey, we really want Brianna to come and sing the national anthem for Flag Day with the Girl Scouts and stuff. And my mom was like, what? She was like, are you sure you have the right number? You want my daughter, Brianna, you want her to come and sing the national anthem. And they were like, yeah, like we loved her performance or whatever. And we think it would be really cute if she came and she sang. Exactly. Yeah. So my mom, because she didn't see it, my mom had no idea what this was. So I remember I came home from school that day and my mom was like, sing.
Did the performance go well? Like the Popular performance go well?
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, it was like the best thing ever. And like, so I don't know, but a lot of people afterwards, like teachers and stuff during school, they'd be like, we never knew that you had that like kind of thing in you or whatever. And then obviously that lady to call my mom and to ask me to come sing the national anthem.
I mean, that's good because I definitely grew up with some people who were like, they were like, yo, I want that same solo. And then they're giving it. And then like they bomb it. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm so good. And I'm just like, yo, stop singing. Like
stop singing.
Well, that was the like reaction back then. I mean, today I'd be like, yo, with practice, anything is possible.
A little more tactful.
Like, no, I do definitely believe that though. I think with practice, anything is possible. But like, if you don't know that you're not good, like, it's tough, but that's dope. That's dope. So how did the national anthem performance go?
I think it went pretty well. Again, I was young. I probably need to go back and listen to recordings of myself because if I'm being honest, I probably thought I was hot shit and I was not.
So did you ever take voice lessons growing up or anything, or was it just?
No, I didn't. That's crazy. Yeah, and that was a flex that I didn't know was a flex. Like people would ask me, and I would think it was because they were judging me. I would be like, no, I haven't, or whatever. But I did start to take lessons around college audition time because I felt like I needed to put a little more oomph in my step.
I mean, for sure. I mean, to anybody. I mean, like even now, like I think like my sophomore year in college, I decided to pick up a vocal minor, and then taking up voice lessons like changed the whole game. For me. Changed everything. Because honestly, like I could sing decently, you know, before that. Like I'd say I'd be like, you know, I wouldn't even say decent. I would say all right. All right, so we had to be like,
you're being so humble. I was in shows with you. Come on.
I'd say I was all right because I mean, comparative to like when you're actually competing with other people, you know what I mean. You see the different levels that there are. You know,
that's true.
I mean, to somebody who can't sing, like, bro, I might as well be like, you know, Pavarotti. You know, like shit. Like,
Pavarotti.
But like, you know, like comparative to like the grand scheme of everybody else's talents and where you fit in. Yeah, I'd say like I was you know, going into it. But then after taking lessons, I learned how to actually do a proper vibrato. I learned like, and that was the hardest thing. Yo. That was the hardest thing for me because I had no idea how to just let your vocal cords like go. You know, and then I think my vocal coach, he was telling me, he's like, it's just a feeling. You got to keep practicing until you get it.
Right. No,
and
that's
like,
true.
Bro, I remember just holding straight tones out and being like, fuck, when is this shit gonna come? Like, god damn. But that's crazy. So let's move ahead in the timeline then. So now you're in high school.
Yes.
No voice lessons.
No.
You know what's funny? I remember, I think it's your freshman year, and that has to be my sophomore year.
Right.
I was in jazz band.
Okay.
I was in jazz band, and I remember walking in the back of our theater, and there, you know how there's that stage, like the big double door stage door that leads directly to the back, right? I remember walking through there because I was in the jazz band, and I'd just be walking through, and we were doing When the Grinch Stole Christmas, I think it is. Yeah, we did that, and you were Dorothy.
Cindy Lou Who.
Cindy Lou Who. I remember that, and I remember them getting all your hair ready and all your makeup. Yeah. I remember looking, I was like, "Yo, who is this girl, bro? Like, yo, they need to relax, yo." And I was just like, "Yeah, with the hair, with the everything." But that was a dope show too.
It was. That was really cool.
How was your experience like doing that? Because I mean, that's your first high school show. I mean, like, because the game changes. I mean, hold up. You went to Woodland Park.
I did.
They didn't have any big theater, like nothing there, right? Yeah, because I was thinking about the other boroughing town, Totowa.
Yeah,
that puts like,
oh my god, all the time with all my friends that I made from those schools. Once we got to Passaic Valley, I was like, wow, so you guys like have been doing this for a while. I would have to go and hunt for like theaters, like, again, like Smiling Rhino and stuff
comparatively,
outside.
like their shows are like top notch, like type stuff. Like,
I know, I was like in a middle school. I remember the year before I was in 8th grade, they did 13 at, I think it was 13. Someone's gonna fact check me, but I think it was 13. And they were like, it's for the 8th graders, only 8th graders do the musicals. Like, that's like their thing at the end of the year. It was like a new thing they were trying to do. And I remember people freaking out because they were like, oh my God, they're going to let them kiss or whatever, because there's a kiss in 13. And I was like, I can't wait to get to 8th grade because we get to do a show. I wonder what they're going to pick our year. And then they were like, never mind. Damn. Not in the budget.
It's crazy too, because I mean, when it comes to cutting like anything out for any budget, it's usually music.
They're the first to go.
It's the arts first. I remember growing up in my middle school in Little Falls, they didn't have a show at all until after I graduated. And I think maybe they did Seussical like 5 times. Like, I don't even know. They did that a couple times. I ain't never even seen the show before. I'm pretty sure it's all right. But
yeah, you're about right.
So freshman year, what shows did you do?
Freshman year, I did How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which was my first, right? I'm thinking, yeah, because the play that year was All My Sons. And I don't think, I know, or like go back. And I wasn't in All My Sons, but I was in the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And then the spring musical that year was The Drowsy Chaperone. And I was in the ensemble of The Drowsy Chaperone.
I love The Drowsy Chaperone.
Oh, it was so much fun.
That was great.
Loved that show.
I remember how bad I wanted, I mean, you're only going to know this if you're familiar with the show, but Adolfo. I'm sure that you really name Adolfo. Yeah, that was like a dream role for me.
Yeah, oh my God, that's such a good part.
Yeah, it's dope. I think like, I think all the shows that like I saw during like my time at like the high school was like dope as hell. And I'm pretty sure like you too, bro. Like, fuck. So I think we're moving into when sophomore year, sophomore year was, I don't remember the winter musical. I wasn't even a part of any. Actually, no. Your sophomore year would have been my junior year.
Correct.
Was when I first got into theater.
Oh, and what was your first?
I mean, my first show, I didn't do that. I didn't do the straight play that year. I had no idea what it was.
I think that was the year that we did Date Night, which was like a collection of 2 or 3 different plays about dating people or whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Because I was trying, as you were saying that, I was like trying to place, I knew that I did that because that was my first lead in a play. I was like, I knew that I did that at one point, but I don't know if it was sophomore year. But yeah, I think it was. That was the play.
You know, before we even go into our first show together, the difference between straight plays and musical, because you graduated with musical theater degree, right? So
actually I graduated Wagner College, which is where I graduated from. Is actually, it's not a BFA program, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts. It's a BA program, which is a Bachelor of Arts, which really, at the end of the day, it does not matter. But I don't have a BA in musical theater. I have a BA in theater performance with no, oh my goodness, I'm getting this completely wrong. A BA in theater and speech with a concentration in performance.
Okay.
So they don't advertise it as a musical theater program, even though it is basically a musical theater program. They want the degree to sort of say that we could do everything.
That's dope.
Yeah.
No, that's probably more helpful to you.
Correct.
Than anything,
Yeah.
So you do a little bit of everything then, right? So you
Yeah.
could do so what do you prefer between the two, straight plays or musical theater?
Oh, that's the question, right? I guess musical theater and musicals, I guess I prefer more just because it's the best of both worlds. I can have like a scene where it's just talking, just like, whatever, and then it could lead into a song, and I love to sing as well. So I get like the half and half, but I've been in so many like good plays and everything, from like regular plays to like a Shakespeare kind of thing, and so there's something about that too that's it's I feel like it's more, I have more of a feeling of accomplishment when I'm in a play, because it's always daunting to look at a book this thick and be like, I have to memorize all of those lines. There's something a little less intimidating about like memorizing songs. I feel like it's a little easier, or because I can listen to it on repeat or whatever and all that stuff. But whenever I got to play, it was like a moment of like, wow, yeah, I did that. I memorized that book, But I'd have to say musicals just because it marries the two together.
So what do you feel is like a better form of storytelling? What do you think engages the audience more? Because if you really look at it, there's not too many straight plays that people are going to. And and honestly, I don't know the specific what the feel is for, because I know, for example, when it comes to the music world, obviously more people are going to concerts to see their favorite artist rather than going to operas or going to the Philharmonic and stuff. Do you feel like musicals better at storytelling, or do you feel like straight plays are better at storytelling?
I think that both are equally great at storytelling, because each one has a different story to tell depending on the narrative. I think that the reason why musicals seemingly come off as having more popularity is because Broadway, let's use that as an example, thrives off of tourism.
That's very
And
true.
people coming in from whatever. And when it comes to a family coming in from, let's say, Indiana or whatever for the weekend, and they want to see a show, they want to see something that's advertised as a guaranteed showstopper, which will be your staples like Wicked, Lion King, Phantom of the Opera, things that have been there for a really long time, are guaranteed to dazzle. It's going to be a night of entertainment for the whole family kind of thing. So that's why those shows are on for as long as they are, because you can go and see them 50 million times. People who come from out of state, that's what they want to go see. Plays I recently saw a play called Passover, which was open for a very short amount of time. It just closed on October 10th, and it was absolutely phenomenal. But it's not like a musical. It's not like a let's go out with the kids tonight and see this. Plays really make you think too. You can't. You kind of have to Passover. It's so good. It's actually on Amazon Prime. Spike Lee did a film adaptation or whatever, or it is the staged version, but he did the cinematography for it, I believe. It's an amazing play about two black men and their experience of trying to find paradise. It's an amazing political commentary piece, such an intimate theater experience and everything. I absolutely loved it, and I went into it not knowing anything, absolutely nothing about it. But again, that's not the ticket that you're looking to pick up, or that most families are looking to pick up when they're coming in for a weekend. Even comedy plays and stuff. People want to go to the theater. They want to see the girls with the long legs and the dance numbers and they want to be dazzled, that kind of thing. Plays are a little more I'm going to sit down and tell you a story, and you're going to leave here and you're going to think about it, which I love. I absolutely love that. But not many people with the tourist aspect of it, I think, do.
And do you think that acting, like which one do you think is harder to act in? Because I mean, like if I'm thinking about it, you know, musicals are cool, you know, but I feel like if you're a great performer, you could probably get away with some bad acting. And I think I've seen it before, definitely like with musicals. But, you know, you being part of like you actually be doing it, do you think it's harder to act in a straight play rather than act in a musical?
I would say so, yes, because I feel like now in a perfect world, and like as the good musical theater student that I am, you're supposed to be great at all three and bring all three to the table and have all three polished, and you should be able to turn on a dime. And by all three, I mean acting, singing, dancing kind of thing. Now that I'm, you know, gone to college, been in the real world for a little bit, acting, play, like auditioning for a play or something like that, you are solely relying on that acting. You're submitting the monologue. It is just you and your emotions and how you interpret the character. So let's say I was auditioning for like a Neil Simon play or something like that. I submit the monologue. It's that alone. Let's say I was auditioning for Legally Blonde or like, let me think of a more dancey show like White Christmas or something like that, where it's all tap. It's all, you know, how you can move. Now it's a little less about, I feel like, your acting, and it becomes more about, okay, how many turns did she just do? I don't care that she can't, like, you know, act her way out of a paper bag. She can smile. I see teeth. I see a happy person, and I see her hitting all those turns. You know, so then it becomes a little more, and I think that has a lot to do with the ensemble too. Sometimes with ensemble, you can like neg, I feel like, on a few things. Like your dancing obviously has to be top tier. But yeah, I think when you just have to rely on the one skill, which is acting for plays, then, you know, it becomes a little harder if you're the type of person who's like, my dancing is like top, my singing is top, my acting, I don't know, I definitely need to work a little bit on that. Obviously, you're going to be vulnerable in that situation. Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't know, and it's funny because I only know a little bit. Shout out Miss A. I don't know if she's going to end up watching this. Hopefully she watches this because it's on all platforms. But shout out her because I did not know anything about acting, like anything. Like I got into it my junior year of high school, and I honestly fell in love with it. And if I didn't go to college for music, theater would have been the next thing over. Would have definitely been the next thing over. Because learning like the different methods of acting, the styles of acting. Do you think you could give me just like a couple, like, I don't know, a couple examples of like the different styles of acting? Because I know, like, for example, exemplar. I think I remember there was the Meisner, Stella Adler.
Oh my
right?
goodness.
I remember. Are you watching this? Because that's the only time. That's the only time I got.
That's it, actually.
And if you probably say other names, I'll probably like.
Yeah, no. I also have to shout out Miss A because I took her theater arts class for all 4 years at PV, and when I got to college, I found that I knew more things than people who had been doing like big theater productions or community theater things like outside of their schools.
Isn't it great when you have great teachers? Man?
Yeah. Oh my God, it was crazy. I was like, how do you guys not know this? And you've been like in more things than me.
Easy flex.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you know me. But yeah, acting, different acting techniques. So Meisner, Stella Adler, Stanislavski is the big one.
I remember.
Stanislavski is the method acting technique, which is one that I don't necessarily use personally. But that's the one where you go in. Like if you're playing a homeless person, like you will live homeless for a couple of weeks to like get that feeling down. Or like Heath Ledger, who played the Joker, was a really big method actor.
Yes.
And then I think the guy in the Abraham Lincoln movies, he like would continue to live as Lincoln, like when the cameras stopped, kind of thing. So that's like a really like marrying yourself and the character together to get those real experiences. I prefer using action generated emotion, which is basically exactly what it says. A certain action or a certain movement of your body triggers an emotion for you. Like I know if I scrunch up my face in a certain way, I can cry because I know that's like, you know. And then emotional recall is really good too, which is like thinking back to like, or like a certain smell or something. I think that's more sensory, but like just thinking back to a certain event and how that made you feel, and then translating that emotion into the
and how do you
circumstance.
How do you practice these things? Like, how do you like get better at like reaching those emotions? How do you get better at like learning these things? Is it just trial and error? Is it something that you see improvement with when you do practice it?
A lot of it is as it comes, like with different audition pieces or anything that I'd get, just like trial and erroring it that way, but also just taking classes. Actors are constantly in classes for things even after they graduate and stuff. You just always have to go and take that workshop or just to keep brushing up on your skills, because there's not really one right way to do it. One teacher will see what you do and they'll absolutely love it. Another teacher will say you're doing it absolutely wrong. This is what you need to do. And you just need to go out there and grab all those different kinds of experiences and then mold a way that works for you, you know?
And do you think that there's certain roles that certain people just aren't supposed to act? Because I mean, when I think about it, you know, you talk about emotional recall, and it's like reaching back to your emotions and seeing, you know, what might best fit the role, right? But I think, you know, there's a two-way street of thinking about it, I think. And it's where people look at it as like, learn how to act better so you could actually like, you know, fill the part. But sometimes, you know, in my other side is like, maybe people just don't know how to act that certain way. Like they can't either when it comes to emotional recall, you know, like maybe they don't have the emotions to do that. And that's maybe where method acting comes in. Like what's your thoughts on that?
I think, again, I really think that it's all about just trying all the different avenues and different ways to elicit that emotion and seeing what works for you. I remember we did this really, I think it was a Meisner exercise in college that worked for a lot of people. It didn't necessarily work for me too much.
And Meisner being like what? Like,
so Meisner is actually the name of an actor guy or whatever who sort of coined this way of training. And I think the exercise, if I mess it up, then Miss A, I'm sorry. And also my college teacher, I'm sorry. I'm only like not even a full year out of college. It was, you would say something to your partner like, you're annoying me. And the partner would have to respond with, I'm annoying you. And you would go back and forth with that of like you would say, stop it. You want me to stop? Like, and you would just keep on like doing that back and forth with each other and trying to like, you knew the person was always going to question you. And you had, I think there was like a specific goal you had in mind or something that you wanted them to stop or something like that. And you had to find ways of like getting that from them. And for some people just to keep getting questioned constantly or whatever, it was frustrating enough to elicit some sort of emotion from them, or for them to explore different like tactics of getting something out of someone that they didn't know that they would like do or tap into kind of thing. So there's a lot of weird things that you can do that you don't even know of that like could bring out this certain side of you or put you in this certain situation that aren't necessarily as black and white as like, think about when your dog died. You know what I mean? It's really odd. The whole thing of practicing acting is odd because you really are just thinking like, how do I truthfully lie about my emotions, you know?
Yeah. You know, going back to method acting, it's funny because I remember when Miss A was first teaching, like when I was first like she was teaching what method acting is. I remember being very attracted to it because
Yeah.
I'm the type who I'm like, I like being like insane. I like doing like
Oh, yeah.
overboard. And for a while, like I really, now that I look back at it, it probably wasn't anything near method because then I'd probably have to do stuff.
Right.
Like to actually like, I don't know, like what I play Santa Claus, what I have to do, go to North Pole, like
Go
for
to
a
North
week,
Pole,
like
chill
2
in
weeks.
Antarctica for a little while.
But I remember before I'd ever get on stage, I would like to be in my character way before like the actual start, like before I got on there, because I felt like if I did things last minute, it wouldn't help. Like it would actually like I would get stage fright.
Right.
And I still get stage fright to this day. I actually get stage fright with everything I do. Believe it or not, with the podcast.
Yeah.
I always get like really bad like stage fright, even though it probably doesn't look like it on any of them.
Right.
Or probably whenever, like now that when I go perform or do anything, it doesn't really look like it, but it's always just like a feeling I get, you know, because I'm always scared about messing up.
Right.
But I think part of being a good performer is like kind of knowing how to manage that. And I think that's what really gives me the anxiety today. But like I was saying, like I realized like I would, before any show, like I would like to, I realized that now is meditating, really like maybe like for 10 minutes before like I go on or stuff. I remember when we did Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Or even when we did Wizard of Oz, because we ended up doing Wizard of Oz again. Shout out Chris Bailey, because oh my god, dude, it's so funny that I see him all the time. Now.
I can't. I really
it's crazy.
can't.
It's crazy. But like even before that, like I would love to take it so seriously, and it was because like Miss A would let me like I like to really try to play the part as best as I can.
Yeah.
Now that I look back into it, my favorite role that I ever did was probably the show that was like kind of like like it was Footloose, right? Footloose, right? And it's crazy. You know what's funny about Footloose, real quick? I always dream about doing a dance number, like a full-on dance number, right?
Yes.
My whole like time like starting theater, I was just like, yo, it'd be so cool to dance. Like I'm not even like a great dancer or whatever, but like I wanted to learn like so bad. And,
Right.
and we had so many good people go through the program, like Jess Laprado.
Yep.
He did Newsies. Was he like the lead? I think he was the poster for it at one point,
Yes,
right?
the full-on poster that you saw everywhere.
Full-on poster for Newsies, and he was on Do You Think You Could Dance?
Yeah, that was like his like claim to fame. I think. Yeah,
that was his claim to fame. And then we also like our theater program was actually really lit with bringing in people who are like dope as hell. Like I like to this day, I'm probably surprised. I'm really surprised, and if they still do that today, like props to them. Because I remember when we did Spelling Bee.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just like throwing all these names.
Oh my god,
out here.
so many fun memories.
When we did Spelling Bee, they brought the original cast member who did
Logan.
Logan, yes, they brought her, and that was so dope.
Yeah.
Like listening to her and like seeing like what she said, and then Cedar Grove produced the person who's the lead for Lion King. Jelani, yo, and he's dope, man.
He's so nice. He always comes back and does stuff at the high school still.
He's talented, yo.
So
like,
talented. He's in Ain't Too Proud right now, the Temptations musical on
really?
Broadway. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I swear to God, he's so good.
Did you see it yet?
I saw his Tony performance where they sang with John Legend. It was crazy.
Oh, he was on the. Oh yeah, I forgot. Like you be on that. So,
He's like out there.
He's up there. But what was I saying? I remember doing those shows. I kind of just completely lost my train of thought with that. I'm not gonna lie. But I remember doing like those shows and just being super like. Number one, the freaking Jesus Christ, this happens sometimes when we're on the podcast.
It's all right.
I remember
we're talking about Footloose. All that
Oh
good
yes,
stuff.
Footloose. Okay, there you go. Footloose. I remember that performance was probably the proudest I ever got.
Yeah.
Like with acting. Oh, I was talking about dancing. The dancing.
Right.
Yo, it was always all right. Yeah. It was all right. Hold on. It was always my dream. It was always my dream to dance in a theater, like number or whatever, because I thought it was so cool, and I thought like having that on film would be so dope. And I think the most I ever got was in Spelling Bee. When who was the name? Mitch Mahoney.
Mitch
the,
Mahoney?
The comfort counselor, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's this one part in like the beginning where I just like put my arms up and put my arms down, and we're like in a circle, and that's like all I did besides just sit down. Didn't dance in Oz because it's not like a real dancing thing. And then when we did Footloose, it was my senior year, and this was gonna be like my last show of high school that I would ever do, like in the summer, right? And I was like, yo, there's no way
I'm getting out of this without dancing.
Bro, there's no way I do a show that's about dancing without dancing. Right? Mm-hmm. And then I get cast as the freaking what's the priest or whatever it is? The freaking priest who hates dancing, who doesn't dance the whole musical. The show about dancing, I don't dance at all. God. Bro, I was pretty pissed. But I mean,
you were tight.
It was cool because it really let me like kind of expand like my acting.
Yeah, that was a serious part for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be like my acting was like crazy, right? But like it's really dope when you get the opportunity to actually just show something, showcase, something. Because I feel like you don't really get better until like you go out there and do it. You know, you could read as many books as you want, you could take as many classes as you want, but unless your thing is like really being like, tested and people are giving you feedback, like I would get that for like music. Like I remember, I'll never forget when I was in middle school, and this was the first time I was playing a euphonium solo in front of like a whole big crowd, and it was just Silent Night. It was Silent Night, right? Silent Night, but you're like, like just the playing form of it, right? Yeah. And I'll never forget my friend's mom. She came up to me after and she's like, I cried. And I was like, damn, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want to make you feel it, yo. And I'm glad you did. I don't know how she cried because I was thinking about that, like, and I'm just like, if I saw someone do that, I'd just be like, yo, hurry this shit up, bro. I gotta go. Like, there's other people performing, dude. Maybe if it was my kid, maybe. But I wasn't even her kid, dude. Like, so I don't know.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it was cool. So I kind of want to go into the whole family theater aspect of everything. Because I feel like what a lot of people don't understand, well, number one, theater kids are really weird. We're a concoction of, especially in high school, and I would love to know how it translated into college. But like, let's talk about high school for a bit, right? So I don't know why. Like it's like the weirdest kids, right? Yes. Like band kids, which I could vouch for, and I could actually vouch for the theater kids because I was like, band kids are a group of weird ass kids. I'm not gonna lie, right? Including myself. Like I'm not even gonna say like I'm weird as hell.
Like, I'm not saying that I'm exempt from
that. Like I'm not at all, yo. Because like whatever y'all vibes were on, like I was with it too. Like, correct. Weird stuff. Let me tell you, I don't want to get too much into it, but like, weird stuff. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of people found like a sense of unity, a sense of peace in theater. Like even the people like I never name drop on the podcast ever, but I specifically remember this one girl who like she was very like anxiety ridden, like outside of the theater, right? And when she put her all that energy, all that angst in her body into her performance, like she would just turn into this different person. And it's so dope that art, music, acting could do that, right? Like and it's so sad to see like when she would come out of that character, boom, she's right back into the person she was outside of the theater, right? And I hope she's doing well today, but like there were certain instances like that. I remember there was certain guys who I knew, who I looked up to, and they were going through like depression and like really, really tough times. But like when they got into a character, like what a lot of people don't see is that, as an actor, as a performer, when you're on that stage, you leave everything else out. You leave everything else out behind. And one of the most famous times that happened is I think Vanessa Hudgens.
With her
father. Yeah, her father passed away like right before she did the show or whatever.
Yeah, it was Grease Live, I think.
Yeah, and like the energy you feel when a person performs those emotions through, it's like when she was performing that song, I was like, damn.
I know.
Damn, girl, like we feel you, like heard, like damn, like oh man. And it's a really like, what's your experience with like how the theater family actually like comes together? Like, is there a certain thing that just brings us like all together, or is it like just like the music, the people? Like,
I definitely think that, well, first, like with the whole theater kids are a weird kind of thing. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I am on TikTok and I consistently see all like the videos and stuff about the theater kids.
Oh, because it's always there's always
like
weird stuff that happens in like
exactly.
Even people who aren't in theater, like there's weird stuff that happens in the theater.
Right.
Like I'm not gonna put nobody on blast, all right? But like
We don't name drop on the podcast.
We don't name drop ever on the podcast, but they weren't even theater kids, so it doesn't even matter. So
They're not in the club.
if anybody's trying to be Snoopy, it wasn't even theater kids. But the people got caught in the back of the theater, like
yeah, I do remember this.
Doing the dirty, and I was like, damn. I was like, yo,
these theater kids are freaky.
And I was like, if there's any place to do it, you know what I mean? Like,
go big or go home.
yeah,
The stage.
Yeah, exactly. But sorry, you were talking about so what were you talking about?
The theater family.
Yes, theater family.
I think for anybody who isn't or didn't get to experience theater or that theater kind of family thing, I always try to akin it to like it's almost like sports in a way where you see these people every single day. You're practicing with each other most nights. For us, it was like Monday through Friday, and then tech week was like the weekends and everything. You know, you spend like a lot of time with these people. And when you do like shows with each other all the time, that's like a majority of your life. A majority of my 4 years was spent with a lot of time with the same group of people. And when you are all in an environment like theater, which is very open, it's very welcoming to just make mistakes, be yourself, that kind of thing. That's where it differs from sports. With sports, I feel like you get that sense of family with seeing each other all the time and being there for each other. But a lot of it is like that pressure to like be out there, that pressure to like, you know, make the goal, do this and whatever. Yes, there's the pressure to perform in your theater family for sure. But there's no sort of like big deal made about mistakes. I never felt like when I was, and even in college and stuff at the collegiate level, it always feels like when I'm around those people and when I'm in class or when I'm in a performance, I'm in a place where I can just be myself. And if I make a mistake, then I make a mistake, or I know that someone's there who's going to have my back or whatever and be able to carry me through. And to place that much trust in people and to also make myself that vulnerable in front of people, I mean, for sure, I'm going to get super, super, super close with those people, you know, because I'm being my full authentic self around these people for like hours and hours a day at a time. You know what I mean? There's no way that you can't form a strong bond with that. I mean, like we were talking about before, you're trying to replicate emotion. You're trying to dig deep and find different things. Even if you're doing Grease or something like that, where it's not that deep or whatever, you're still trying to pull something from yourself, be the best that you can be, and you're around people who are there to support you and everything. I think it's cheesy, but I think it's the most magical thing in the world.
That's why we do arts. You know, that's why we're in it, because it gives us that feeling. We think it's the best thing in the world.
Right.
I mean, I think whenever I'm out up on a mic, I mean, like, even like this, like, podcast is like really like my only performance. It's funny. Whenever I leave the house and my dad's like, "Where you're going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go film a show." You know what I mean? I don't say like podcast or anything, because this to me, it's like a show. It's like, you know,
it is
like. Not necessarily performing, it's a different like, you know, vibe, but like even looking at it, like I'm always trying to improve. Before, when I started this off, like I'd always say my problem now is I don't take enough time in between to think and formulate thoughts. I'm getting a little bit better, but saying is also a problem as well. Yeah. I say a lot of ums.
That's so many people's problem though. Yeah. That's just how we speak. Like, and then let's see, I did
also saying the H word, which is honesty. Honestly. I'll be like, honestly, you know, honestly. You know, and it's like, damn, you're a truthful ass man, dude. What's good? Damn. Everything is honesty with you.
Everything is honest.
So actually, I want to talk to about how in theater after, oh, actually, no, what was coming into my mind, did you have a gypsy robe in college?
In college, no, we did not.
Really?
We did not have a gypsy robe, which is crazy because like college is the next step. You know what I mean? And I had it, but that just is a testament to how like dedicated PV is to like the
And
actual experience.
is a gypsy robe like a regular thing around in the theater community?
It is, yeah. Jess Loprato actually got the gypsy robe when he was in On the Town, I think. I sound like the biggest Jess Loprato fan.
Can you explain to the audience what a gypsy robe is?
Yeah, so, I really hope I don't mess this up. But from my knowledge, it is an actual robe that is given to the ensemble member of the show that you are currently in who has the most ensemble credits at that point in the cast. So it's basically a way to honor the real like foundation, like hardworking background ensemble people that have, it's difficult on Broadway, especially when it comes to musicals, being a swing or an ensemble member who has to learn all these different tracks, all these different dance numbers, sometimes in very, very, very short amount of time with no guarantee of a performance sometimes. You're really like, if we didn't have that, they're like the spine almost, you know what I mean, of productions. I've always said that if an ensemble isn't into it, then like the whole production falls flat, regardless of how great your leads are. So the gypsy robe is a really great opportunity to honor those people who have been working as these like unsung background heroes, and have been just like busting their ass and everything. And the robe, I don't know if just PV did this. I feel like it is a thing that is done on Broadway too, but the robe is like patched up with the different titles of the show that the person who owns the gypsy robe at that time like adds their show and their name to it. So it just looks like this giant like Technicolor patchwork cloak. And the job of the person who receives the gypsy robe is, I don't know the exact rules, but I know you have to like, everyone's standing in a circle and you have to run around the circle like clockwise or counterclockwise or something a certain amount of time. And then you have to go into the back of the theater backstage and touch every area that you can, almost as like a blessing. And that's like a ritual thing that happens, and then the show can carry on. I mean, there's a lot of superstitions that go into theater just because like that go back. It was built on like witchy superstition. But that's one of those things that it's like, it's very superstitious of like, you have to touch everything and you have to go around the circle a certain amount of times. And then that person gets to bless the show. It's a super great honor. It really is.
Yeah, it's funny because like I said, going into theater, like I just loved acting. I loved singing more than like, when I started picking up singing, like, and theater allowed me to do that. I remember when we were doing gypsy robes at PV, and I was never upset that I never got one.
Right.
Like I actually didn't kind of know what it was. That I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Right. But the only real memory I have from it is that I forget which show it was. It might have been, I honestly forget which show it was, but I remember we're all standing in the circle before we do a show, right? And then they were like, yeah, you know what? It might have been Miss A's show, the only straight play I was in.
Odd Couple.
Odd Couple. Yeah, I think that had to be it, I think, because I remember they were giving her the gypsy robe. I think then we're all standing in a circle, and then they're like, yeah, so this gypsy robe usually goes to a senior, but since we don't have any, we're going to go down the line. And I was just kind of, but I was also thinking, I was like, this is my first time doing this shit.
I'm not going to question any of this cult bullshit
I was
right
like, yo, if I get this gypsy robe, I'm going to be like, bro, I'm sorry to anybody who worked hard as hell, yo. Like, I don't even want this shit, yo.
I got the
like,
senior title.
like no disrespect to anybody, yo. Like, can anybody else take this shit? 'Cause I don't deserve it. Like, for real, yo. But I remember that. But gypsy robe, I think is a really cool thing. Is there any other like behind the scenes like rituals that like people don't know about that theater people be doing?
I think most of them are personal to each person. Like a lot of people have, they're called pre-show rituals. So things that they have to do in their minds before a show happens, or else it'll just throw them off and they'll have a bad performance, whether that's it can be as simple as warming up. Like, I have to do this warm up before I go on, or else I don't feel like I'm gonna have a good show, or I have to write in my journal, or I have to tap the doorknob of my dressing room 3 times, like things like that. I know that there's like a big no-no in the theater as far as superstition. If you're in a show and you're in the house or the theater that you're performing in, you can't say, I think I could say it now because I'm not in a show or whatever. But
damn, this is going deep.
I know, guys. This is a cursed video. We have to write that now in the thing. It's like cursed footage. Macbeth, which is a Shakespeare play. It's supposedly cursed because, again, fact check me. I don't know, but it was the first show back in those times where witches were characters in it. And this was like back in the 1600s, like people were dead ass afraid of witches. Like they were real, like satanic, they were hanging people and everything for on suspicion of being witches. So when Shakespeare wrote that and everything and had them like emerge in the stage the way that they did, people like freaked out. They were like, this is the devil play or whatever. And now we sort of carry that over as like, if you say Macbeth or whatever, when you're doing a show, your show's cursed and you're going to have like something is going to go wrong in your show. So people usually just refer to it as the Scottish play. They'll just call it, the Scottish play or whatever. So they don't say Macbeth. If you do happen to say Macbeth, you have to go backstage, I think, and spin around like 3 times, or like spit over your shoulder or something. And then you have to leave the theater and knock on the door and ask to be readmitted. And then that sort of like breaks the curse kind of thing. But I know that's a big one. Everyone's like, do not say the M word, like do not say the Scottish play. Then there's stuff like break a leg, which does not actually mean to break your physical leg. The line from when the audience can see you backstage in the wings and where they can't. The wings are the sides of the theater. So that line of being seen and not seen is the leg. And to break it is to go on stage. So when people tell you to break a leg,
actually, yeah. I feel like I never knew that. That's dope as hell.
Yeah, when they tell you to break a leg, they basically mean like get on stage, like, you know.
So do you have any pre-show rituals that like you like are stuck to?
I don't think you could call it a ritual as much as like a necessity. Like I get very dry mouth before I go on stage, just because I like start to swallow a lot because I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to like produce enough saliva and my throat's going to be dry. So I always have like one, they're called grethers, pastilles, whatever. They're really good for singers. And I always make sure whether I feel lubricated or not, I'm like, one, and I just eat one before I go on stage. But that's more of like I just need to wet my whistle kind of thing. As far as like, really,
I like that expression.
Oh, thank you. Please, PG.
I've been good this podcast so far. I've been really good. Yeah,
that was the first one. I'm gonna write it up on the board.
Yeah, just wait, because usually I wait like like once we get like an hour into the podcast.
Right. Yeah, right. Then so, it all starts to let loose.
The people at this point, if they're still listening,
yes,
like the people who are not the realists have left, but the people who are the realists have stayed.
Correct.
And the people who are the realists who are stayed get the
they get
18
rewarded
plus. They get the 18 plus, bro.
Humor.
Hell yeah. But you said that you were wetting your whistle. You left off with that.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, I don't think I really do anything that's like crazy. Like I have to on my water, or I have to, do this, do that. I'm so excited to get out there that I kind of just, I don't know. I just do.
So how's the process different from high school? Because I believe we'd get a show because we'd get off the winter show, and that was like in January or like whatever during that time. I don't even remember when we really got the show and started practicing. But what we'd have like 3 months before a show, right?
Yeah, we have an insane amount of time for the musicals at PV for sure.
So comparative to college in real life, like how much time do you actually have to like memorize everything and get your shit together?
In real life, like Broadway, I know it's very short depending on when they bring you on the show. If you get put on the show as like a put-in or something, like the show's been running for a while and they're just like, okay, you're going to be the new person that comes in when this person leaves. It's a very like quick, like turnaround time, maybe even 2 weeks or something like that you're, oh yeah, it is fast.
Are you good at memorizing that quick and everything? Like,
yeah, I'd like to say that I am.
Okay.
I'd like to say that I am. And anybody like, oh my God, you get that Broadway contract in front of you. You're like, I'll do
anything. I'll wet your whistle.
We should have a bell every time Luis does that. But yeah, it's a even shorter amount of time out in the real world than I think it's in college, because when I was in school, when I was at Wagner, I never really felt like it was that quick. I always felt like we had a good amount of time. It was definitely shorter than PV, but I never felt like I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna remember all these lines? Actually, I felt like that once with, like I said, I was in a Shakespeare show when I was in college. I was in 12th Night, and that was my first Shakespeare play. And not only is that a lot of words to memorize, but it's like a lot of prose, verse, old writing sentences that you don't speak like that, you know? And because there's a rhythm to Shakespeare, you can't like paraphrase a line. You have to say it on beat, or else it throws off everybody else's stuff and it doesn't flow right. So you have to memorize it exactly. And I remember them setting our off book date for that. And an off book date basically means this is when you have to be memorized. You have to be off book. They told us when it was, and I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be ready for that or have it memorized for that. And I think it was like a do or die kind of thing. And I was, but that was one of the instances where I remember being like, that's not enough time for me to put a whole show in my brain and speak like I'm from the medieval times. Like, absolutely not. But then with me, I feel like it's fight or flight. I was like, I mean, I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it, you know? But as far as the musicals and stuff that I was in at Wagner, it never felt like anything was rushed. The thing that was different was it always felt like the stakes were higher, definitely higher than high school. Definitely higher.
So do you have any stories of like anything happening like completely wrong, or like something improvised that you guys had to do like so far in like your career of acting?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking back to the shows that I was in. I remember I heard a lot of like stories of things happening, and like a lot of them is tech stuff because that can't be controlled, like whether like a light's flickering
that's my job.
or things like that. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. And that's if you get a stage manager or somebody up here, I'm sure they'll tell you like wild things. But a lot of the shows that I was in at school, I'm lucky, but I didn't experience any like things where I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like this didn't come on, or this didn't move, or this or anything like that. You know, I'm thinking, I was in this.
Have you ever dropped a line or anything? Or
no, I have not.
I think if I could go back into high school and go back into like acting or like change anything that I did back then, would probably be taking my lines more seriously. Yeah. Because I feel like for me, like I'd get it done. You know what I mean?
Right.
But for me, it's like don't tell me to do shit. Like they'd give like a date where it's like, this is when you have to memorize it by. That they would come along and be like, oh, bullshit. Like, you know what I mean?
Braver than
me. That was literally like, I was just like, I'll just improvise some shit. You know what I mean? If anything, I feel like improvising stuff now is what I'm probably better at.
Yeah.
Like, most of these questions that I'm asking you are improvised. Like, I'm just like, you know, because I find
Off
this
the
stuff,
cuff.
I find this stuff fascinating. And like, when you've done enough of these podcasts, you know, like, I think, what is this? This is going to be episode 15, but 15 out of 26, because this is like when I first started doing the Polaroids and everything.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, before, like, there was a whole script to this show. But I found that it's more natural, and I feel like it's funner to listen to when you just like, have two people in the room and you're just figuring it out, But but speaking about doing stuff, just kind of like what is it called, improv.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of experience with improvising and stuff? I love, Miss A. Yo, shout out to you. Because all your improv stuff, I love everything she taught me about theater. Like, I appreciate it so much. I still have my notebook and I look at it from time to time, for real. My crappy ass high school.
She called them gems.
Yeah, like, oh my God. But the exercises we would do, like, was so dope. Can you see yourself doing like improv stuff?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's like, that's actually something that a lot of people when I was at college were afraid of. They didn't like improvisation. We had done it so much at PV as just games to do that I never really feared going up there and not having a set amount of lines or a set thing to say. I never really had that sort of like, trepidation with that. It was always just fun to me to sort of formulate that kind of thing. I'm upset because my senior year of college, it was crazy and COVID and all this kind of stuff and worrying about graduating. They actually, the underclassmen at my school formed a improv like troupe, whatever, like the first one at Wagner. Shout out to the Spin Cycle.
Shout out to the Spin Cycle.
Spin Cycle.
That's a dope name. That's a dope name.
Yeah. And I actually saw one of their shows in my last semester of senior year. And I was so blown away by how talented my friends and like the underclassmen and stuff were at doing these improv sketches. Like, I was peeing my pants. Like, it was so funny. Like, what they would do, like, some of the things was they would be like, okay, we need someone to give us a place or someone to give us a title or someone and people in the audience would participate, and they would like make up a musical or something because they had a band with them too.
Oh, that's
the Spin Cycle
sick.
like had their own band, and they would like just riff off and play things, and the actors in the troupe would like make up the musical and stuff and its progression, and they'd time it so they'd give them like 10 minutes or whatever. And I always thought like, this is gonna be really awkward if no one wants to come forward and say anything, whatever. They were all so on it. Oh my goodness, it was great. Improv, like good improv, is so exciting to watch and is always funny. Like, if you're going to improv and you're going to do something dramatic and be sad, then I don't know. I feel like it's not that good of a time. Improv, when it's hilarious, because it's like, it's serendipitous. It just happened. It's like, that just happened to be the funniest thing in the world. And you didn't even plan that. You just said it and I bounced off of you. And now we just wrote a whole comedic sketch in 2 seconds.
Do you know if there's anywhere? Because I know, like, for example, there are, what do you call them? Like Rhino Theater.
Yeah.
That's a community theater?
Community theater, yep.
Is there anything like, is community theater the only option for, like, for example, someone like me? I would love to get back into acting.
Yeah.
I would love to get back into musical theater. Like, doing that kind of stuff is so joyful, to get to do and, build that family around you, and get that. There's a certain high that you get when you're performing. And I think that's the reason. I mean, that's the reason why I keep coming back to it.
Right. I was just about to say that's why people come back to it.
Yeah. How about like you, like, how would you describe that high?
Oh God. It's hard to describe it without so this is why so many people have like this stigma about actors and stuff, because we're told that we do it for the attention or that we do it for, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the attention as much as the connection. I love the fact that when I'm performing, what I do, what my character is going through, a certain line that I say is going to elicit an emotion from the audience. I know what's going to happen in this play. You know what I mean? I know that my character is going to find out that this person is actually my brother. I've done it 8 shows a week. I know that it's going to happen, but I will always live off of the audience, like gasping at that moment, because one, that means we did our job. We shocked them. We did, we acted it correctly. But it's the fact that I'm able to like share that experience with them or be the reason why they're like, oh, what? Like that kind of thing. I love living off of that. So, which is why COVID was terrible, because you just completely lost that connection with Zoom and everything like that, and Zoom performances. So yeah, I would definitely say the high comes from being with the audience in that sort of way.
And so how did COVID affect everything that you're doing, like what you're trying to do right now, like the industry? Because I'm not really like too familiar with anything that's going on.
Yeah, it was. Oh God, it was detrimental to the industry. Detrimental to my senior year. Unfortunately, we're supposed to have a senior showcase at the end of our time at Wagner, where we basically showcase our talents as a class, as the graduating class, and we perform it at a theater in the city, and they invite a select amount of agents to come and see us, and then people can book agents off of that experience, or just get any sort of exposure to the industry at large as a whole. Because of COVID, no one was going anywhere. No theaters were letting you perform anywhere. We sort of missed out on that opportunity, and we just had to, like many schools, had to film our senior showcase, which, you know, live performance film, it's different. And then send it out to agents like via email and hope that maybe they're going to open one, you know, that kind of thing. So a lot of opportunities were missed in that way. And then the industry as a whole, I mean, no one was performing. Even now, we're just starting to get back.
Broadway just opened up September, right?
Yes. And even then, it's still, you have to be fully vaccinated, or you have to show proof of a COVID test 3 days prior. It's still limited. It's very difficult when your business thrives on human interaction. You know, once you have to eliminate that because of, you know, a disease or something like that.
Is there anything creative that you saw via like Zoom that was actually that was actually like pretty successful? Yeah,
I was actually in a reading that one of my good friends from Wagner, he's a playwright as well, and he writes like fantastic plays. Like, I'm sure he's going to produce something on Broadway one day. But he wrote this play called Daughters of Leda, based off of Greek mythology characters and things like that. And he asked us to do a reading of it, and then later produced it with that cast or whatever through a student-run company on campus. And I did that over quarantine, and I jumped at the chance to do that, obviously, because I wanted to be able to do a show. You know, I've been not doing anything. And it was just amazing to see us all work together on how to make this show translate and work over Zoom, and the creative ways that we were doing that. I know it seems so simple, but like at one point we had to pass a fake baby across the screen. Like, I would pass it to the other character, but obviously we were in 2 different locations, so we had to make it look convincing. And it was like this choreography of like passing it downwards and then her lifting it up on her side, and then seeing it at the end and being like, wow, we actually made that work.
Yeah, that's
like
dope.
We actually made it. I had to stab somebody at the end of the show, and the way that they had to like black out the cameras like right before it happened, obviously, because no one was going to see connection. It was all very creative. And even though it's like, I would have loved to see it live, there was so much more that we could have done. Working with what we had and still making it entertaining was like, it was like picking a part of your brain that you didn't know you had access to, kind of thing. It was definitely cool.
I have one more serious theater question before we got to fit some silliness into here.
Of course we do.
All right, so it's like a 2-questioner.
Okay.
Number 1, what is a black box theater?
Okay.
All right. For that's the first question.
Okay. What is a black box theater? A black box theater is a small theater. The walls are literally all black. Hence, like, black box theater. Very intimate space. A lot of new works or experimental theater is done in black box theaters. Yeah, that's really basically it. Everything is really, it's really just a dark space. So then light could be manipulated easily in there and things like that.
So my follow-up question is, why is it Like when you first, I don't know, this is what I see and what I was invited to when I had theater friends who did their first year, second year, like Rocky Horror, right? Like it's so sexual. It's so like crazy. Like why? Like I guess that's my question. Like
why Rocky Horror specifically?
Yeah, like why Rocky Horror? Like you know, and if anybody who doesn't know what it is, this is my best interpretation or like I guess like summary of it.
Yes.
It's like some rock and roll type, like because I remember seeing it, and then there's a lot of like dancing and it's like these different characters who like there's like a male transvestite and I mean it's dope but it's just like so out there, and I feel like for my first time like going into like a black box not knowing what it was, like I was just like, oh my god, like
what the hell?
do you is that more of just like a fun thing, or is it like do you actually get something from that helps you with like, you know, like your development as like an actor slash, you know, like musical theater person?
I was in Rocky Horror twice at Wagner, and it was probably some of the most fun I've ever had. Like just silly, straight up fun in a show, because it is just silly, sexual, straight up crazy fun. I did get something from it though, because one, we could only rehearse late at night because the other student run shows that were happening and the department shows that were happening all got priority. We technically weren't even, oh my God, I'm spilling Wagner secrets on the podcast.
Shout out Wagner.
Shout out Wagner. We technically were not even supposed to do Rocky Horror because we didn't have the rights. Right? So we would call it the Halloween Cabaret.
Hey.
But everybody knew that, oh, it's gonna be Rocky Horror, but we could only advertise it as come see the Halloween Cabaret. So because of that, we couldn't advertise it for what it was and we couldn't use department spaces, we had to rehearse at like midnight. So those were like, oh my God, that was like the longest semester ever because my days would be super, super long. I wouldn't even have a chance to do homework. And then from midnight till whenever I was going in for these dance rehearsals and things like that for Rocky. But what Rocky really helped me with besides time management was just confidence in myself. Just the whole thing. I remember the audition process for both times that I was in it was like, just walk from this point to this point in the room, like catwalk, give us your best, like model, like pose in the middle, do this, like whatever, just show us you at your like most confident, your most sexy. And that was different for everybody who walked across that length of the room. And it really just, everybody just felt like, you know, yeah, fuck yeah, I could be like this or whatever, you know. And I never led with like a sexy like kind of thing in my acting or anything like that. So it was nice to like tap into that and be like, oh yeah, I could be sexy if I wanted to, kind of thing, you know. So it's definitely, and it's also Rocky started off as a movie originally that just got such a cult following. And because there were songs and people sang in it and it was kind of set up like a musical, the musical theater community like got it. Yeah. And now they do the performances and stuff of it. But the freakiness all started on film for sure. And then it got such a big following that they started doing like live performances and stuff of it.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
All right. So now here comes some curveball questions. Some
I'm
that
ready.
are,
let me sip my
if you
water.
are not above the ages of 18 or 13, please exit the podcast.
We love you.
Why are theater people some of the horniest people I've ever met in my life, dude? Why is everybody hooking up with? Look, listen, if you were never in a theater like ensemble or anything, yo,
Right.
like, I'm not gonna lie. I was actually talking. I work now with a person who used to
Correct.
be in shows with us,
Yes.
right? And I haven't talked to him in years. And it's funny catching up with him because the last time he saw me was when I was kind of just figuring out my life, figuring out who I
Right.
am, you know, at the end of high school and stuff. And like, I was a band kid. I grew up a band kid. So it wasn't like I was new to this world of
weird.
like, to the weird, like I remember band kids like, sitting around like these weirdos like holding hands and stuff. Listen, I have no problem. Like high school's a difficult time, all right? Like I get things are happening, like weird things happen, right? Like what can I think of? There was I remember a marching band competition that my friend he had left the competition, and one of the big things that we had was like, you're not allowed to do anything in your uniform, like don't disgrace the uniform, you know what I mean? And I was the captain too, so I respected that, you know what I mean? Like nothing in the uniform, right? So my boy, I saw him eyeing up this girl. He ends up going into the woods with her or some shit. They did something. They did something, yo. I don't know exactly what, but this man had a big ass smile when he came back. So I knew something went down. Right. Like when you hear stories like that, like, or I say something like that, it was like something regular. Like it wouldn't happen every time, but like crazy shit would always be happening, and it would be like, oh, of course it's the band kids. Yeah. Like at one point, I remember we had to play at a football game, and the bus drivers were having sex in one of the buses, and a kid walked up into the bus and saw them.
No.
And it was weird because they were both like stereotypical weird bus drivers. Not all bus drivers are weird, like shout out to my 8th grade bus driver. She was the sweetest lady I've ever met in my life, but these were like still like weird, like bus driver type people.
That poor
so like
kid.
There's always weird stuff that happened to the men, but when I got into theater, I don't know why.
It was a new level of freaky.
It was a new level of freaky. Everybody was like trying to kiss each other, bro. Like everybody was like, damn, like you won't make out with me like for like 5 minutes right now. Like, kiss me right now, bro. And I fell into the trap because I did the same thing, bro. I remember I was calling everybody babe at one point. That was my guilty thing. I was also trying to kiss everybody too. I'm not gonna lie.
It's all right.
But why, dude? Like, why are we like this? Why are we like this? Why are we like this?
I think there are a couple of reasons. I think number one, we are in high school, or we were in high school.
Did it also happen in college? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I might just contradict myself here, but if it's talking high school, we can blame it on the hormones. We can blame it on puberty. We can blame it on the changing of our bodies and things like that. And again, you are only with these people for a majority of your
That's very true.
time. So you're thinking, these are my options and I'm horny. Like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? See, when I got to college, it was different because it was not necessarily about like, it was a lot about guys. Wagner had this thing where it was like, gay by May, you're going to be gay by May and everything. So a lot of the sexual things that I experienced or like saw happened a lot with the gay men or, with the gay men of the community. And that was different because I remember coming from high school and it being all about, the weird straight kids or whatever that are trying to like get with each other.
There only one gay couple we knew. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We all know. I'm not going to drop names on the podcast. But yeah, so like, it is weird. I really think it does have to do with the fact that you spend so much of your time with these people and you like them, you all chill together and everything, you vibe, that something in your brain is just like, well, yeah, the next logical step is to fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, were your parties like as crazy? I imagine as well.
Yeah,
because if it wasn't for theater, like I wouldn't ever have like expanded my like vision of the world, been more open to things.
Right.
Like I remember, I'm not even gonna lie, before theater, I grew up in a very like old school Latino household, and it was very much like gays are okay as long as they're not near me, don't talk to me, don't speak to me. And as long as it's not my son, right? And so that kind of made me grow up with this certain type of homophobia growing up. It wasn't for theater. Theater was the reason I kissed my first guy. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy because before, bro, I remember when that happened too because it was all for a dare. It was for a dare. And Man.
Oh, the memories.
I don't even know if I want to say this on a podcast, but you know what? Screw it. Because they listen to it. It's whatever. I remember specifically, like, we were playing like Truth or Dare, because that's what you freaking do, right?
What you do.
That's what you do, right?
It's
and there was this girl, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I'll run around, like, I forget what the fucking bet was, but it was like, I'll run around in my bra or something,
right?
Classic. But like you have to kiss him. And I was just like, bro, I was doing the calculations hard. I was doing the freaking I was doing the calculus in my head. I was like, hold up, all right.
Let me run the numbers real quick. Let me run.
All right,
hold
on. If I kiss him, am I gay? Like that was like, you know. And then like I was like doing it. I was like, well, you're kind of seeing boobs, but you're not really seeing boobs. And I was like doing some freaking division there. And then I ended up just doing it. And I remember after doing it, I was just like, that's not a big deal, dude. And then I feel like they made me do it like a million more times. Not a million more, but I mean, like, you know, it's just so funny because I feel like everybody being in that family, being completely yourself. And I don't think there was ever any point, which I loved about theater, that I was actually judged for being myself. Maybe one time I felt judged, but I kind of got over that. And I think the overall experience of just being yourself and people accepting you for who you are,
right?
As long as you're not like racist, like a terrible person,
right,
or
which
like
is
mean,
not a lot to ask. You know what I mean?
Like I feel like
like
for the
be
most
a decent
part,
human being.
Yeah, be a decent human being. Like enjoy everybody else's company. And you know what's funny? Theater is probably one of the places where it's the most inclusive. You know, different races, different.
Right.
I mean, we're both Latino. You know what I mean? I felt like I've probably met like so many more Latinos in theater rather than I have in like music.
Right.
You know, I'm just speaking facts right now. Like when I was doing like honors bands around Jersey, it was mostly like white kids and like a couple of Asians. And I remember in this one instant, like it was me and this kid. I was like one of two Latinos, and he was like the only black kid, which is crazy. You know what I mean? And it's funny because we all sat at our own table. It wasn't segregation like on purpose, but I mean like we were just like, yo, I feel you. like we different, yo, we different. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember any times from like high school that were like, you know, really enjoyable for you?
In relation to like theater, or
in
just
relation
in
to like anything, dude, like silliness or not silliness, or something you might have messed up on and maybe didn't.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my experiences with high school come from theater, just because that's what I did a majority of the time. It's funny, I went out with some friends recently this past weekend, and I went out for somebody's birthday. And she comes to pick me up, and I get in the car, and there's this kid in the car that I don't know. And she said that she was inviting some other friends, whatever. So, you know, I go up to him and I'm like, oh, and I'm Brianna. It's so nice to meet you, whatever. And my friend looks at me and she goes, Bri, like we graduated with him. And I was like, oh, like, hi. And he was like, no, it's chill. He was like, I know you though. He was like, you were always in the shows. I remember you were always by the theater. And I was like, this is embarrassing. But like, yeah, I kind of had blinders up essentially. But I always lived by the philosophy that if anyone wants to be my friend, they can be your friend. I was like, I'm going to accept anybody. I'd have friends from all different sections of the school and everything. It just so happened that a majority of my time was spent in that area. So a lot of my friends came from that area.
It was like home, you know, that's what it really
was.
Felt like,
right.
You know?
Everybody had their thing though in high school. Theater kids get the most rap for it, but everyone had their thing. Track, cross country, football, basketball, art, like literal like painting, things like that. I think we had like an animation club, the media kids and everything like that. Everybody had their own like niche family group of people who had like interests, and you know, you just gravitate towards them and you spend a lot of your time with those people. But yeah, when he said that and we got to talking about that, I was like, it's so funny that like I literally have no idea who you are, but because of this thing that I was a part of, like you were able to link me to that. Like, yeah, but a lot of my experiences just come from theater, being with my friends from theater. Yeah, oh God, high school now I'm getting like old. It's just starting to become a blur.
I have a have a few more questions.
Ooh.
You know, it's funny. I've always kind of not literally,
Yeah.
but like technically in the theater world, I've been your father figure a couple of times.
Actually,
A couple of times. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like more than like two people in a theater program, I feel like would get cast as each other's father and daughter.
Yeah. Do you ever it's funny.
Think about those times.
Not even just think about those times, because I mean, like, you know, like time goes on, you know, you get new things, but
right. I get other dads.
I think, yeah, I get other dads. I think about it sometimes because one of the moments that I'll never forget, which makes me laugh all the time, and I think you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yo, please say it. It's my favorite.
When we were in the Putnam Counting Spelling Bee, 25th annual Putnam Counting Spelling Bee, I played there's this one scene with Olive, you know, she's like seeing her parents and stuff. I think it was the I Love You song, right?
Yes.
It was like the only scene that the parents were actually there,
sees
right?
Her parents,
we were looking at each other for a moment, right? And I was just like looking deep in your eyes.
Yes,
and
it was a moment.
I'll never forget, because I was trying so hard to like be in character. I'm like, I'm this girl's dad. I'm a piece of shit or whatever. I'm trying.
Piece of shit dad.
My wife like left me or whatever the hell the story was, right? And I'm just I'm trying to get into the moment, right? And you kind of just looked at me, and like we had done this scene a couple of times. Like we were trying to get down on it. And I don't know if you were like feeling it or like, you know, like
was.
you were, like you just wanted to take the next step. But yo, I get it. Bro, she looked at me, and then she just put her hand, just caressed her hand ever so slightly on my cheek, and bro, I lost it, dude. Like I had, bro, like I don't even know. Like I was thinking about the worst things ever, because then like I go into panic mode if that happens to me. I mean, this is just an acting, and I'm thinking about like back in the day or whatever. But the whole time I'm just like, yo, grandma getting hit by a train or something like that, like some fucked up shit, you know what I mean? Like
stay focused,
stay focused, like a dog falling off a skyscraper. I don't know, bro. Like the worst things, bro. Like just gotta come up quick, dude. And I'm just like clenching my cheeks and trying not to die, yo. I don't know how you do it, yo. To be honest, I
honestly, thinking back on it now, I like really, I mean, this is just a testament to how good you are. I was really just feeling that scene in that moment, and also like you came off as so professional to me in our scenes and environments with each other that normally with somebody who I didn't trust or that I didn't think trusted me, I would say like, hey, for the I Love You song today, I think I want to try something different, and I think I want to put my hand on your cheek or whatever. Is that okay? Like, I don't want to throw off your mojo. That would have been the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
That would have been the whatever. But I honestly didn't know that that's what I wanted to do until we were in that moment, and I had to make this split decision to be like, I think he can handle it. I think this isn't going to throw anything off.
Yeah, it's sweet.
And I think it really elevated. I think that's the one they got on film too, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to look back at like.
I have to look
I
back.
haven't watched them in forever.
Oh
like,
yeah, we should just get shit faced.
Oh my god, can we, yo? Can we? We'll take a shot every time we laugh. Or something.
Oh my god, literally.
That'd be crazy. You know what's crazy? I actually don't even have the recording of Legally Blonde.
I don't think I do either, actually.
Jesus. I wanted it. So if anybody watching this, I don't even know who's watching
this. Watching this was in PV's production of Legally Blonde.
Please let me get our copy, because I never got a copy.
I also lost the Wizard of Oz copy.
I still have it. We could watch that together, yo.
I need you to burn it on something for me. You don't know how many times I've told people, like people in college and stuff, where I've been like, no, like I swear to God, like I tried to sound as much like Judy Garland as I could. You know, like I really, really worked at that, like really, really, really hard. And I think I did a pretty good job at it. I remember our superintendent at the time, was it Dr. Gigano? Dr. Gigano.
Yes, shout out him.
He told Jeff Budd, who was our director, that I sounded just like her. And I remember I definitely did, and I sounded like a version. But again, in my mind, I busted my ass. And I lived on that high of thinking that, like, you know, I was able to replicate that kind of performance. And now I don't even have the DVD anymore.
Oh, I got you, bro. Bro, trust me. I'll Patterson that shit up, bro.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Straight up. while you're eating in the restaurant, just trying to enjoy your life. I'm going to come in there and be like, yo, I got these DVDs. I'm going to sell them to you 3 for $5. Half of them are not going to work, dude. But like, just take these shits, yo. Just take them.
My God. It's going to be a white DVD and Sharpie. It's going to be like straight out of Oz.
It's going to be El Wizard. El Wizard. It's not even going to, it's going to have Spanish dubs all over it. It's going to have only Spanish dubs. So that's just your part too. It's going to be me singing in Spanish. It's going to be me singing in Spanish. That's crazy. That's so crazy. And you know, our last show together, I was your father too.
Yes,
Footloose. In Footloose, the show I never got to dance in. I got to dance like the last, like
a little bit. Yeah, the big group
I got to
number
do
at
this.
The end.
I also had a really cool scene. Like I think it was like the, what do you call it? The halfway point of the show. When you call that? Halftime. Halftime. I don't know. Halftime.
Intermission.
Intermission.
Like,
there you
like
go.
the act one closer kind of thing.
End of Act One. We had this one part where I was kind of in the middle. Everybody's kind of just going like this. There's some cool pictures.
Yeah, the big ending number there. Yeah.
That was really cool. There was a number they took out of that show that was so unfortunate because I felt like that would have just been like the cherry on top of everything. Because there's this whole point where like he's kind of just lamenting himself and his decisions, and he kind of realizes that he needs to turn around. Right. And they took that part out, which was unfortunate because I was like looking at that and I was like, this would be so dope.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember I don't know if we had any scenes crazy together in that.
We had a few like where we would just yell at each other a lot because we didn't see eye to eye necessarily. I remember there's one scene in the dining room or something where I come in and you're playing a record or whatever, and I try to talk to you, or I stood up on like the table or something. And I was like, you can't lock me in a tower, Dad. Like something like that or whatever.
And I was like, all right, whatever you say, step.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. There's the 18.
All right, yo. We're coming to the end of our podcast. This thing goes so quick, yo. I feel like I feel like I could ask you a million more questions. Yeah. But before we end the podcast, and as the music is playing out, I want to ask you one question that I was thinking about all day today.
Yes, please.
If you had to choose between being a lead in one of Stephen Sondheim's musical, and it being legendary forever, or having him be your personal acting coach for the rest of your career, but having no guaranteed leads, what would you choose?
All right, I think I'm gonna do my knee jerk answer that I just thought of. I think I'd go with the first one. I think I'd go with being in a legendary Sondheim show because I feel like it would set off my career, get my foot in the door, and I'd book a lot of stuff afterwards. And also, Sondheim's more of a composer. Whatever, not that he wouldn't be an amazing acting teacher, but I feel like I wouldn't be that upset if he wasn't my acting teacher. I'd be more upset if I missed an opportunity to like be legendary in a Sondheim show, because you think about Bernadette Peters, Patti LuPone, all these kind of people have gone through his shows who are now like mainstays of Broadway. And to rank among them would be, oh my God, I'd be set for life.
Be sick. Bri Cielo, thank you so much for doing the podcast. Let the people know where they could find you. That's the one thing I forgot to ask you. Instagram, Snap, or whatever you want, dude.
Yes, of course. My Instagram is, oh my goodness, _Bri, B-R-I, _Chi, C-H-I, and then another underscore. I have an actor's website because I am an actor. It's just my full name, Brianna Cielo, Cielo.com. Facebook, it's my name. YouTube, again, my name.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that they didn't see his kiss. Because honestly,
I know that would have been really bad. Inappropriate, terrible.